I think that they do that type of behavior.
They weren't expecting it, and they were just kind of startled. And I think that's how we all were.
There's a hole there with the stick still in it, and the end of the stick's all dirty from digging the hole.
They have taught me. This is what my experiences have been. I don't get my information because I read it in a book or I saw it online. This is my life.
I think there's various reasons for that. I believe that, those are the raw materials they have.
Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome to the Nana Boss Continuum. And I want to say hi to everybody really quickly who's here already, but I'm excited for tonight's show. I'm so excited. I got Jerimiah Fountain back, and we're going to have some really interesting conversation tonight. We're going to talk about Dogman, and we're going to talk about something a little bit different too. So we'll see how this conversation goes, and I'm expecting it to go in all kinds of crazy places. So let's welcome everybody. Gary, hi, how are you? Anthony from Unidentified S4, Primal Cry, you're here. Hi, hun. Hi, Jean, how are you, my love? We've got James. Hi, James, how are you? Rhonda, thank you for also being here. See me. You're new to my channel. I don't think I've seen you in the chat before, and welcome to the show. Let's see, Miss Dina P is here. We've got Chiro Sounds, and let's see, we've got Mark. Hi, Mark, my friend from down under. That is on my bucket list. I'm telling you, Mark, I'm going to make it there someday. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I will. Jay Fritz. Hi, Jay. Hi, Cynthia. How are you? Let's see. Anybody else? Did I miss anybody? Hi, Papa. Hey, Mugs. How are you? All right, guys. I'm so excited. Mr. Hugh, how are you? I'm so excited for the show tonight. So let's get into it. Jerimiah Fountain is a former pro MMA fighter from the Adirondacks in upstate New York near the Canadian border. He's a cryptozoologist that specializes in Sasquatch and Dogman Research. He's a survivalist, a hunter, and a fisherman who's been researching for nearly 20 years. Ever since Jerimiah was a child, he's been interested in the paranormal and cryptozoology. He had his first face-to-face encounter with a Sasquatch in the year 2000. He has had sightings and experiences with not only Sasquatch, but other entities as well. Jerimiah is the founder and co-host of the podcast On the Trail in Search of Living Legends with his partner, Nick Valente, who is the director of the North American Dogman Project Regions 3 and 5, including the Nordic Countries. Jerimiah is also the founder of the Skookum Session Bigfoot podcast, as well as Paranormal and Cryptid Crossroads Research Group. He also has a Facebook group called On the Trail Cryptid Paranormal Research. Jerimiah loves being in the woods altogether and doesn't do this for fame, and believes that it's his duty as a researcher to help others get answer to the questions they have about these beings. So let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Jerimiah Fountain.
Hey,
How
Marty.
are you, Jerimiah?
I'm excellent. How are you? It's great to be back.
Yes. It's so good to have you back. I mean, we had such a good time the last time.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, even after the show ended, you and I were still on, we were still talking and talking.
Yeah.
I don't even know, for a couple more hours. It was so much fun. So tonight, I definitely want to dive into Dogman. But before we do, let's talk a little bit about something that we had mentioned and talked a little bit about on the show the last time you were here. One of the things that you had described in one of your encounters that you shared with me the last time you were here was of a female Bigfoot that
Yeah.
you had saw very up close. It was a very up close experience for you. Can you just give us a little bit of, a little, just give us a little summary of what it was that you saw, and then we're going to
Mhm.
jump right into this interesting thing, right?
Sure. Let's do it. Yeah, it was in 2007. It was my second encounter. I went down to our land to, before we had built our cabin. We were living off the grid at the time, and like I said, building the cabin, getting ready to live down there, and I went down to work on my tree stand. I wasn't planning on sitting for a while, but I got done working on the tree stand kind of early, and I said, yeah, I had my rifle. I said, heck with it. Maybe I'll try to bag this 10-pointer I've been seeing, and no luck there. But I heard an ungodly howl, and I got the feeling that I really wasn't wanted. Just call it a sixth sense or whatever, and
Mhm.
I said it's time to go. So to get back to where my truck was to hit the logging road, you have to pass by a natural artesian spring, just absolutely gorgeous. And as I'm walking by to hit the main road, I look, and about 4 feet off the bank, I see what I thought was a tree, with no limbs or anything, until that tree turned and looked at me. And I said, "Oh boy, that's not a tree." Yeah, I didn't remember seeing one there before, so I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. She, is female, like he said. Uh,
Mhm.
she turned and looked at me, and we stared at each other for a few seconds, and she saw the barrel of my rifle. And the look she gave me was, I could almost read what she was saying to me. Um, Almost like, if you don't have a problem with me, I'm not going to give you any problems,
Mhm.
and that's when she did the flicker. Um, I don't even know what to call it. It reminds me of what a shark does, when they bite into their prey and their eyes cover up.
Right.
She flickered it, and it came from the bottom. It wasn't part of an eyelid or anything, but bang, 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 bang. And she did it about 5 times. And that right there just threw me off the boat. It just shocked me, you know. And then, she, we looked at each other for a few more seconds. And once she realized I wasn't going to give her any issues, he jumped out of the water and took 3 leaps and went about 60 feet in 3 leaps. I know that because me and 4 of my buddies went back the next day, and we could see the impressions in the ground where she leapt, and it was about 23 feet per leap, which would have made it about 69 feet in 3 leaps, which is absolutely amazing. And she was a big girl. Um, if I had to estimate a weight, I'd say she was pushing 600 pounds at least,
Man, big
and
girl.
you'd be very big, very big, and the water came up, a few inches below her knees. Okay. And for when I could see from that point up, she was about 7 feet. So add that onto what
Right.
I couldn't see under the water, that would have, pushed her 8 feet. And that's a
Yeah.
big girl.
Yeah.
Even for a male Sasquatch, that's good
That's
size.
good. Yeah.
You know, that's
Yeah.
good. So that it blew my mind, even more so than the first encounter, which is an intense encounter. But
Yeah.
this was just unbelievable.
And you've had other encounters
Yes.
with Sasquatch, and you've never seen this eye flickering thing that you saw?
Not one time.
Only
I've heard of
just with
one
her.
person. Yep, one
Okay.
other person I've heard talk about it, and I was I was just shocked.
Yeah. Well, the reason I wanted to bring it up was because, interestingly enough, over the holidays, I had sent you, it just, I was on YouTube and kind of going through my feed, and I see this video
Mm-hmm.
of it was like a Avatar 2, kind of like a short someone did on YouTube,
Yeah,
and it showed one of the characters, the animated character with her eyes doing that
doing
with
it.
this third eye.
Yes.
And I sent it to you
Mm-hmm.
and I said, "Hey, does this look anything like what you saw?" And what was your reaction when you saw that
It
video?
was identical. Absolutely identical. The only difference being is she did it numerous times.
Yeah.
You know, and when I saw that, when you sent it to me, it blew my rocker. I said that was it. That was it right there. And that's the first, aside from hearing the story from the other individual
Yeah.
that has witnessed it.
Right.
I had never come across anyone else that had seen it. And
Wow. So I have that clip. I thought we'd
mhm,
play it so everybody can kind of get what we're talking about, and
sure,
then we'll talk a little bit more about that, and then we're going to jump into Dogman. How about that?
sure, sounds like a
Okay.
plan.
All right. Okay. All right, guys. 1 second. I think I have to just add it to the stream. I don't want to play the music because I'm afraid I'm going to get like like a strike or something. I don't know.
Right.
Um, is anybody? You can see it, right, Jeremiah?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But see how our eyes do that
Yep.
same thing.
Same thing.
Isn't that crazy?
It's absolutely wild. Yep.
I just I'm telling you, when I saw that, I was like, that has got, because I was trying so hard, you know, after you gave the description, because I was thinking about it so much, and I was
Yeah.
trying to figure out what it may have looked like, what it could
Right.
have looked like, and trying to imagine it. And then when I saw this video, I was like, wow. So doing a little research,
Mhm.
on this, I'm just going to call it there is a scientific name for it, but tonight we're just going to just kind of gloss over a little bit the third eyelid. When I was doing some research on the third eyelid, dogs have it, cats have it, birds have it, amphibians have it, lizards have it, and a lot of it is due to, because if they're catching prey and it protects their eye, it's to protect their eye or to clean it from, debris or dust.
Mhm.
And, there are also, in my research, there are also primates that have this same third eye. In
That's
addition
interesting.
to that, when I did my research, humans have a remnant of that third eye. And it's like that little thing right here in the corner of your eye, that little
Okay.
red bump thing. That's
Yeah.
what that is. It's a remnant of the third eye that we used to have. Now, having said that, there are humans that there have been cases of humans having that third eye, that third eyelid.
Yes.
I found 4 cases in humans where they had
Oh
that
wow.
third eyelid. So it's not something that's so out of this world or
Right.
so obscure that it couldn't
Right.
happen in the Sasquatch as well. So
Good.
I think it's interesting. I
It's
think it's
it,
very
well, it
interesting.
still blows my mind. Almost 20 years later, and I still think about it.
Yeah.
Not a day that goes by I don't think about it.
Yeah. I mean,
Especially,
you're seeing a female Sasquatch, right? You're seeing a
yes,
female Sasquatch built like a female.
yep,
It's kind of like, okay, I can put that in a box, but then you add that in and you're like, what the heck, right? I
yes,
mean, that's even,
absolutely,
blows your mind. Now we do have Dark Woods and Primal Cry, and what they have seen is a dog man with this same thing.
yes,
So again, to me, that doesn't seem to be that far of a stretch, because canines have that third eyelid. So
right,
it's not crazy to me. I think it's interesting, and it's
yeah,
so, who knows where that could lead, right? Just that little bit of information that people have,
exactly.
right?
Deeper down the rabbit hole.
You got it. You got it.
Deeper down.
You got it. All right. So let's talk some Dogman.
Okay.
Let's talk
Sounds
some
good.
Dogman. Let me take this off of here. There we go. Okay. So I know that you kind of go out now. Do you actually go on the do you go out with Nick also, like doing, when he goes out investigating like sightings or activity in an area? Do you do that with him as well?
Nick and I have been working together for about 3 years now. He's like
Mhm.
a big brother.
He's great.
Yeah, he's just an absolute great guy. One of my best friends, and Nick and I actually haven't been out together yet, but we've got a few plans set up for the spring and the summer.
Awesome.
We're gonna get together. He's in Jersey. I'm in New York. So it's not that far of a stretch, not that far of a drive. So we do have some plans set up. We're gonna go out together and see if we can scrounge up.
See if you can. I heard him talking about some activity that he had on his last
Yep.
outing. So
Yes.
it's going to be interesting to hear about that.
Yes.
I won't give it away. I promise I won't give it away. But stay tuned to Nick Valente, because he's got a good story.
Yes, he does. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you have Dogman on your property as well as Sasquatch, right?
Yes. Yes. The Sasquatch leave, as I was telling you before, they usually leave around, you hear a lot of people talking about how in certain areas of the country they see these things together, once in a while. Up here, no, they don't play well together up here, if you want to put it that way. It seems as though, through my experiences throughout the years, the Sasquatches will leave in November. They'll come back in April or May, and then do the whole thing over again. But when the Sasquatch leave, it seems like the Dogmen, matter of fact, I know they show up. I've had them come to my window and all that. I had a black one 2 years back that came to my window 3-4 times, and it started to make me really nervous. So Nick has taught me. I was into the Dogman thing. About a year or 2 years prior to before Nick and I started working together, but I got to give my man credit. He's taught me, most of what I know about Dogman. What better teacher than Nick Valente, and Dogman? He's the
Exactly.
best. He's the best.
He's like the OG of Dogman.
Absolutely.
He is.
He is.
He is. So have you been so how did you know and recognize that they were on your property? Because you guys have had this property for a couple of generations or something, right?
my dad had bought it before I was born.
Okay.
So there was always weird stuff going on down there. My family knew about it, but it wasn't something they wanted to bring into my life until I was older. Then I was made aware of it. And then that sighting in 2000 really put the cherry on the cake for me, because that's when that's when I knew. I was always a believer, but I became a knower at that point.
Right. But you guys have Sasquatch, but I mean, at what point though did you know and realize, okay, this isn't Sasquatch. This is
Right.
something different.
Yes.
How did you figure that out?
Okay. Stacy and I, we drove to my parents for dinner,
Mhm.
and we stayed and had a couple glasses of wine, and talked to my parents for a while. And it was about, by the time we started driving back to the property, it was about 1 a.m, and I see this upright being on the side of the road, and my wife, she kind of has a lead foot, and she was speeding a little bit, and I said, Stacy, slow down, you slipped, you're
Mhm.
gonna hit that guy on the side of the road. She said, what guy? And as we both look, it's kind of had its shoulder up against a tree, and what I noticed about it, it had a very smug, arrogant look on its face, and I hear that from a lot of people when
Hmm.
they see these things. And when it crossed the road, it started crossing on all fours, and then got up on two legs,
Wow.
and then it went over the property across the road from us is not ours, and something about that side of the road that wasn't across the road from our property has always given me the creeps, for some reason.
Hmm.
And now that I find out, after that night, I kind of realized, well, maybe my sixth sense was telling me that
Saying like,
stay out of there.
yeah, yeah.
you know. And it moved, Marty. It moved so fast. It was unbelievable. Just unreal. So at that point, we knew we had something else on that property.
On the property.
Now, this would have been in a time period when the Sasquatch were just getting ready to leave,
Mm.
and these
Okay.
other things were moving in for their season.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and another interesting little tidbit behind that. This was 2 days after my wife had an encounter with what we think is the alpha male of the group, the Sasquatch.
Oh,
Yeah, and at the time
interesting.
we were actually, as we were constructing our cabin, we were living in a camper, kind of living off the grid. And that night, something slammed against the camper, and shook. It shook the camper. It felt like it was going to go over. And when I went out the next day, it looked like Hiroshima. I mean, it was crazy. Trees knocked down.
Wow.
I didn't see any defined tracks, but there were scuff marks. So I'm thinking maybe this Sasquatch, is, hey, it's not your time to come in yet. You need to get out of here.
Mhm.
The only other incident I had with the dog man in New York State on our property, I was going down the logging road on my four-wheeler, and there was a tree knocked down across the road, across the logging road.
Mhm.
And I said, okay, no biggie. Yeah, I didn't think anything of it at the time. So I go another 100 meters down the logging road, and lo and behold, there's another tree knocked down. I said, okay, now something's going on here. But again, I went around it, kept going, did about another 100 meters, and there. Anthony, you got that right, man. uh, so I get to the third tree, and I got off, and I started taking pictures of the wood line, because if something like that, the trees knocked over, just for the
Mhm.
heck of it, I started taking pictures, and immediately I sent it to a couple of guys in the organization I was involved in at the time. I'm not anymore, but at the time I was. And he said, Jay, get out of there now. And the funky part, I'll get to that in a second, but he said, go back to your camper and analyze the snapshots you just took. So I go back and I start looking through the pictures, and looking through a big pine tree was the head of a canid-looking creature. Now, here's the thing, though. It looked very baboon-like, almost like how people describe a gugway.
Right. Okay.
So I can't really say that was a dogman. It very well could have been, or it could have been something else. But it was very, very baboon looking. It just glaring.
Interesting.
And it gave me the absolute creeps when I finally,
Yeah.
noticed it. It was very,
So
very weird.
so you didn't hear anything, you didn't see anything when you took the photos, you were just taking some snaps, some snapshots of the tree line and then find it later.
Yep.
Interesting.
One of my college teammates at the time told me, get out of there and go analyze your footage. And he saw the camper. I started going through them, and that's when I saw it.
Yeah.
And there's a limb right above its head. And later on, I measured the limb to the bottom of the limb. It was about 8 foot. So this thing would have been about 7.5 feet tall.
Wow.
So
Yeah, because they're not. I mean, have you heard of a lot of reports where they're very much bigger than that? I mean, kind of, aren't most of the reports right around in there, 7.5,
right around
8?
7.5, 8 feet. Yeah, from what I hear from Nick, he would know. About 7.5 feet. I've had people tell me in the past they've seen 12-footers, 13-foot footers as far as dogmen, but I'm very skeptical on that.
Well, have you had any prints? Have you found any other evidence other than, like the sighting and then, catching that on film? Did you any prints, anything else?
Yeah, some
No
tracks.
sights or
Some
anything?
tracks, some very canid looking tracks.
And how big were they?
One of them was about 13 inches. That was one of the bigger ones I found. 13 inches, all the way down to 9 inches.
And did it look very similar to a wolf? Like, was it the same shape as a wolf print would be, but bigger, or
not what I found. Not what I
no?
found. What these look like was more, and I'll get back to this other point in a second, but they looked very Sasquatchy, to be honest with you, but they had long claws, the prints.
Okay.
And I had never seen a Sasquatch. I've seen hundreds of Sasquatch tracks, and not one of them had long claws, And the funky part about it is that when a lot of people tell stories about sightings of dogmen, they talk about them having haunches like a dog, the backwards legs. This one didn't have that. It had legs like us, and the legs like a Sasquatch would. And then we were in North Carolina. The area we were in is known for heavy dogman activity. Actually, Nick was down there. And this is before we started working together. He was down there, and they were supposed to be there a week, and he ended up staying a month because the dogman activity was so high.
Wow.
And I caught some awesome vocalizations one night. And they nothing like any Sasquatch vocalizations I've ever heard. Deep, long howls at the end. You could hear growls, and just I know Sasquatches. They make they howl and they'll growl and whatnot. But this was much different. This sounded more canid.
Have you ever had the audio analyzed at all to see if
I haven't?
It's in, like what that range is?
I've had other Nick for one. I've had other dogman researchers take a listen to it, and they verified, yeah, that sounds like a dogman.
Yeah.
From what they said, it sounded just like a dogman, and I knew right away when I heard it. I've heard enough Sasquatch vocalizations, to know that was not a Sasquatch.
Well, do we have, I mean, are there people out there who have like, okay, I know this is like we're kind of in this like realm of, you know, we know what we know, but there
Right,
are no experts in
right.
any of these areas.
Agreed.
But I mean, we have the samurai chatter, right? From Ron
Yes,
Moorhead. Like we have specific um recordings, right? That
yes,
we kind of hold as a gold standard and we kind of measure everything else against, that the sounds are of a different frequency and a different range than what
right.
a human could possibly make.
Oh yeah.
So are there people out there, Jeremiah, that have audio that people have, you know, kind of checked into to see what hertz these sounds are being made of? You know, like at that, I think it's below 650 hertz, I
Something
believe,
like
for a
something like that.
Sasquatch, for it to
Yes.
be within that range of that it could possibly be a Sasquatch. Of course, we don't know because we're not there to see who made it, but made the sound. But
Right.
so I was just curious. I mean, are there any researchers out there who have that?
Yeah, I know of a couple. Yeah.
You do.
It's
Awesome.
had it
Okay.
had analyzed and
So we do actually have some audio out there that other audio can kind of be compared to.
yes.
Awesome. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I don't
Then
know. I'm so interested in kind of trying to figure out how to take it a little bit deeper. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like,
absolutely.
because prints, just like with Sasquatch, right?
Yeah.
There's prints, right? We've seen people have prints and people have photos, but they're not really good photos, just like in Sasquatch, right? A lot of times it's
Exactly.
a blob squatch, they call it, right? I guess you could call these like, I don't know, blob canines. I don't know, blob dog man. I don't know.
Right.
And it's like, I just wish that we had a little bit more on these
Like a
guys.
like a patty film with a dog man.
Yes.
That would
Wouldn't
be
that be?
that'd be the holy grail right there.
Yeah.
Just like the
Yeah.
patty film was. I would love it if someone caught a dog man on
It would
camera
be
like that.
fantastic.
That would
Of
be
course,
fantastic.
yeah, you know, and probably people would. I have a feeling though, if there was a dog man caught on video, clear video like that, I have a feeling that people are really, really not going to believe it though,
I
even less
agree.
than they believed Patty.
I agree. Yep.
They're going to
Especially
be like, oh, it was CGI, it was
yep.
this, and that. So,
Especially
but
nowadays, the
mhm,
patty film was taken in 67, I think.
yeah,
And nowadays with the way they can alter photos and video,
yeah,
yeah, I think people would have a hard time, you know,
yeah,
believing it was real.
yeah.
You know,
So basically, more or less,
yeah,
the most evidence we have are anecdotal evidence
right,
of a dog man. That's and some photos and some prints. Now
yeah,
I have heard of people also getting prints that are at the front of them, like you're talking about when you said that when you described the haunches.
yes,
I have heard people talking about that they have, that they've seen photos or have photos that are similar to that type of structure.
same here.
That would be really interesting. I mean, I have never seen a photo yet of a dogman print. I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't.
Well,
So,
I can send you a picture of what I think was the type of dog
awesome.
man that I saw with the straight legs as opposed to the haunches with
Okay.
the long claws.
Do it. Do it.
Yeah,
I want to see it. After the show, we'll chat backstage and
absolutely,
because yeah,
absolutely.
I've never really, I mean, now I know that my Matt, I know that he's got a very, very large canine print. Um,
Yeah.
it was very large that they found up in Alabama.
Okay.
But again, one It was just one. How does that happen with the dog man?
Good question. I have my
Right?
theories. I have my theories on that.
Well, our dog man, are there theories or running thoughts out there, in
Sure.
the dogman community that maybe they also use portals similar to Sasquatch?
Absolutely. Nick and I talk about that all the time.
Okay.
And here's the and we figured, well, Nick, and same here. He's got to narrow down to a percentage. 92% of people that have a Sasquatch experience or a dogman experience before, during, or after the encounter, there's people see orbs, lights in the
Okay.
sky, and all the people,
92%?
92%. Yeah. Nick did the math, 92%. And I can tell you what, out of all, I've
That's
interviewed hundreds
crazy.
of people, and I've heard the same thing from them. Probably 3/4 of the people I've interviewed have experienced the same
The
thing
same
with
things.
these lights. You can't prove it for a fact, but I've got a pretty good feeling that these are, which brings us back to the whole Sasquatch thing as well. Even if they are a
Mhm.
flesh and blood creature, which I believe they are flesh and blood, but
Yeah,
I believe they also have special abilities.
that they can,
You know,
yeah. S
they
so,
can.
do you think that they, and again, I'm just, 'cause I'm just, I wanna learn, so I'm trying to kinda, 'cause I don't,
Yeah,
like I said, I've seen some, dogman stuff, but I have questions. So, do you think that they, like, run in packs? Do you think they're solitary beings, or
I think they run in packs from all the from what I've heard through other researchers and myself. I
Uh-huh.
caught when we were, and I have proof of that too. I've got a film. It is very hard to see. I did send it to Nick, and Nick enhanced it on his computer, and he was amazed. And this was right in the village, okay, that we lived in, and it was a
Mhm.
big cornfield. And as we're
Yeah.
walking by it, I see 4 sets of eyes in the corn. And as we walked by, they got up and they took off. Two went one direction, two went the other. The ones I saw, they ran off on two legs, but then dropped all fours. And here's the weird
Oh,
part. Yeah, they dropped all fours and walked around on all fours. And
really?
this, I'm probably gonna catch flack for this, but one of one of them, and this is in the video too. I'll send you the video. I will
Uh-huh.
warn you, it's very hard to see, but one of them had a light, a ball of light above its snout, about 6 inches above its snout,
Really?
and then after, yeah, after that, all these lights, blue lights, red lights, are flying
I
all
love
over.
it.
And my wife
Cool.
had her camera going at the same time, and I'm like, Stacy, are you watching this? She goes, no. She goes, I'm watching this one over here on two legs looking at me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was crazy, and it was right in the village, right down the road from our house. We weren't in the swamp, like we usually did all of our research in the swamp, but this
That's
was
good.
this was done on a walk down our road. It was a very rural community, but then again, it was still right in a little village. You
So
know.
when they went from, so they were okay, wait, let me double check, let me back up.
Yes,
So the ones that you guys saw, were these the ones that had the haunches that looked like a dog, or the kind that had like straight legs like us, like
straight
human legs?
leg, straight legs.
So they literally went from being on two legs down to a quadruped,
Negative
like
parts running. Yep.
nothing.
No,
Now,
nothing.
how did they move? Did they have that crab look or the spider look to them or something?
It was more, and I've heard this from another researcher that
Oh,
saw a dog man up close, and
mhm.
it's kind of a gallop.
Gallop. Okay, got you.
Very
Okay, got you.
like a
Okay.
horse gallop almost.
Okay.
And that's what I saw.
Mhm.
It was a gallop.
Yeah.
But the ones Stacy saw, they didn't hit all fours. They got up. They were, how do I explain this? It's very hard to explain. The four eyes, there was one here,
Mhm.
one here, and then two sets of eyes above it. I think the ones that were above the two that were lower,
Mhm.
they were the ones that went her way, and I don't think they were ever on all fours. And they stayed on two legs the whole time.
Got you.
But the ones I saw, the ones on my side that I was
Crazy.
filming, went right. They got up, took off on two legs, and then dropped. And that's as soon as it dropped. That's when I caught the ball, the big white orb, if
Mhm.
you want to call it, almost like it was balancing it on its snout, except it was about 6 inches above the snout.
Was the orb, I'm gonna call it an orb for lack of a
Yeah,
better
yeah,
term, right? So I'm
yeah,
just gonna call it an orb.
sure,
So was it completely spherical
yes.
and it was glowing around like from the inside out?
What do you mean, like
Or
from?
was it was it like maybe an energy source coming from within there, kind of shining out? Or do you think or was it kind of see-through? I don't know. I'm really interested in
It,
like what this thing looked like.
it outside,
Like I gotta know.
yeah, the outside of the orb. Yeah, the outside of the orb was kind of clear. You could
Okay.
see, the almost transparency, but it still had that glow. But the inside of it was solid. It was a
Solid.
solid white. Yeah,
So when they
yeah.
took off,
Mhm.
did the orb kind of look like it streaked? Did the orb disappear? Did the orb kind of just stay in the same shape?
It stayed the exact same shape,
The
and
exact
it
same shape.
it bounced it because I'm going to be honest with you.
How
After I
crazy.
was watching these two with my camera, I went
Right.
over to hers, to the one she was looking at, but
Mhm.
I wasn't at the right angle, or they had already taken off.
Wow.
And I said to her, "You can hear me during the conversation, Stacy. This isn't concerning you." She said, "No, what you're looking at is not concerning me. What I am looking at is the one standing straight up. That's what concerns me, you know."
Yeah.
But they didn't bother us. They didn't
No?
bother us. They just
No aggressive moves, no aggressive
none,
noises, nothing.
nothing. When they first took off, it made me nervous,
Mhm.
because I didn't know
Mhm.
what they were going to do. But they took off in the other
Right.
direction through that cornfield. Yeah.
Wow.
And then what really got me was the blue lights after came streaking down, and then did a zigzag and off into nowhere. And then
Interesting.
it's gonna sound crazy too, but they after that blue light came down. And this wasn't an orb. It didn't have the circular orb
Mhm.
shape. It was more like a diamond, and it came
Okay.
down, and it was gone. And then they
Um,
were gone. We didn't have them on film anymore.
and that was I can't remember. I'm sorry. Did you say that was daytime or nighttime?
No, that was nighttime. That was about
Nighttime.
midnight.
It was nighttime. Okay.
Yeah.
So did you guys go back like in the daytime looking like to see if you could find prints, to see if you could find hair or any other
We
physical
did, and
evidence?
we didn't find a thing.
Not a
Didn't
thing.
find anything. And maybe it was because it was a cornfield, and it was,
Yeah.
would have been hard to find tracks and
Yes.
whatnot. But yeah,
Cornfields are not the place you're gonna find tracks.
no.
I
And I was
know.
kind of weary about going in a cornfield.
Yeah, cornfields are not your best friend.
No,
No, no, no,
no,
no.
not at
No,
all.
I grew up in Indiana, so
Okay, you know
cornfields
all
are my
about
thing.
cornfields. You're right.
I play we used to play in cornfields as kids, so, like, yeah, you can't see anything, can't hear anything, you can't it's a creepy, creepy, creepy place,
Yeah, and
especially at night.
right, and it made me
Yeah.
wonder, how long were they there?
Yeah.
Did they show up as just as we were walking by, or were they already there? You know,
Yeah. And
And
you
I
guys didn't see like any kill sites or
no,
anything like that anywhere in the
no.
area or huh.
I did find one. I did
Crazy.
find a deer a couple days later in the same, not in that exact spot,
Uh-huh.
but a little ways away from there, about a half mile away from there. I found a deer with its neck. I think maybe I thought I sent you that picture. Maybe not.
You know I
It was
can't remember.
it had a chunk bitten out of its shoulder
Yes.
with the
You
neck.
did send that to me.
Yep,
Yes.
the neck
Yes.
just twisted 180 degrees, and a
You did
human
send
being
me
isn't
that.
going to do that.
You sent
You
me
know.
that as like a private photo, so I'm not going to
Yes.
share it,
Yeah.
but
That was it. Yeah.
that yes, you did send that to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I sent you my grotesque rabbit gift thing that I got.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yes.
Yep. Yep. I thought it was you. I sent it to. Yeah. It was very disturbing. I'm a hunter,
Graphic.
and I've harvested a lot of deer, and that shocked me to see
Yeah.
some of the snap neck like that.
And that wasn't a small deer.
No, it was a doe, but it was a big doe.
Yeah.
It was a big doe. She probably went about 150 pounds, which is a good sized doe for the area we were in.
But the interesting thing though is so strange. I mean, I wonder if maybe you guys, I don't know, maybe they were going to go back to it and then you guys surprised them and then they
Surprising.
just hightailed it completely. Cause
Yeah.
thinking back to that photo, I mean, it's not like there wasn't really any, it was pretty much intact other than
It was.
the neck
Yeah.
being completely twisted around. I mean, it was like like it was wrung like a towel,
Exactly.
twisted
That's a
several times around.
perfect
Not
way to
once,
put it.
not like, oh, it's broke. It was twisted like like a towel. It was
Yeah.
that was crazy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not really anything else too much disturbed. I mean, it wasn't like the organs were taken out or anything like that,
Nothing.
right?
Nothing.
'Cause I
It
didn't
was
see
all
anything
intact.
else disturbed. Yeah.
No, except for the neck being broken and that chunk taken out of
And
the
then that
side.
one, just like the one chunk taken out. So
Just the one
crazy.
chunk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder if you guys kind of, maybe they were hunting that night
Maybe they were hunting, and that's happened to me on a Sasquatch
Mhm.
investigation where I interrupted a hunt, and I was gently escorted out of the area. And that's
Gently escorted.
gently
I've had
escorted
that
out.
happen to me.
Yeah, and it's not a very comforting feeling.
No, it's not.
And this was
not.
on our property, and we've never had a problem with them. That's the only issue we've ever had with them is when we interrupted a hunt.
Yeah.
We had one on one side of us, one on the other, and you could hear them moving through the brush, and you could hear bipedal, you could hear them. They wanted to make sure we got out of there, and we got to the truck, and I turned the beams on, and I could see one in the distance, just standing there looking at us, making sure we left.
Right. Yeah.
So they could continue their business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, that's happened to Matt and I. That happened to us.
Yeah.
We had a situation where we were escorted out.
Yep.
So yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what they did.
It was funny because like I knew that he wasn't. I knew that he would. There was a whole. I've talked about it on one of my other shows. I don't remember which one even.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. We never at any time did we feel like we were being threatened or that it was in a, hostile kind of like manner. It was more of along the lines of, I'm making sure you're leaving.
Yes.
Making sure you're leaving and I'm going to walk, and it was interesting because it was that whole, you walk, you hear it walking, you stop and you hear like, that little stutter step a little bit,
Then then you start walking again, and they start walking.
Yeah. It's a little, that in itself though is a little unnerving because
it's very unnerving.
That point, at that point that it's not a hog, it's not a deer, it's not because your mind, when you're hearing these things sometimes your mind is going through that mental Rolodex of all of the animals that could be making that sound, right?
So
you're flipping through so quickly, and you're just like, and then you're like, okay, I just eliminated everything. So
Yeah.
what else could it be? So
Especially when
yeah,
you hear the
interesting.
branches snapping 8 feet above your head, I mean,
Yes.
come on now,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that the first time that it happened to us, like I didn't actually hear. I just knew that they were there. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't like this really loud thing that we that we heard, like, but I knew I knew,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
feeling you get. There's this
Sure.
feeling that you get, like you can't really describe it. And I
No,
knew.
it's indescribable to try to tell the average person, and
Yeah.
we
They
can
have
talk
to
about
kind
it
of
as
just,
investigators,
yeah,
and
you got
relate
to
to one
feel it.
another.
But
But
once you feel it, there's nothing, like, you'll never ever not recognize it. You'll always recognize
yeah,
that feeling.
always, always,
Yeah.
yep,
Which
always.
is why sometimes I really think that it's them putting that, you know, I don't want to call it infrasound, because I don't believe that it's infrasound. I believe that
Right.
it's more along the lines of when you're in the grocery store and you're standing in line and somebody behind you is staring at you,
Right. Right.
you go,
Yeah.
somebody's staring at me?
Yeah. You
Like,
can feel it.
you feel it.
You feel it.
And
Absolutely.
that's kind of what it's like. Similar
Yeah.
to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it even happens with regular animals, like say coyotes. I mean, if they're in
Mhm.
the area, you can tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bear,
Let's
coyote.
Yeah. So let's see if anybody in chat. We've got 32 people in here right now. I'm so
Oh wow.
excited. Hi everybody, and I let's see if I can say hi to some people here. Hey Sharon Guy, Dark Woods, I think I missed you earlier. Let's say hi to some people, and then let's see, does anybody have any questions for Jeremiah tonight? Let's see, who else do we have? I'm so sorry. It just went just a little too fast for me. 1 second. Old Buzzard is here. Hi, how are ya? And let's see, Janet. Hi, Janet. Let's see. Oh, Mr. Bigfoot and Non. Connor is in the house tonight. Donald. I can't even talk all of a sudden. What? I was talking just fine a minute ago. Now I can't talk.
Yeah,
Donald. Hey Donald, how are you? Let's see. Sandra, hi, how are you, honey? And I saw Anthony was in here earlier. Let's see who else. Crystal J. Midwest Night Watchers, how are you? Brown Dwarf, how are you? My goodness, we have so many people. Stevie B, hi, honey, how are you? So who has questions? Who has the cryptid huntress is here.
Oh,
Hello, Miss Jessica Jones.
Jessica. I love Jessica.
Yeah. Hi, Val. Did I miss it? If I missed anybody, my apologies. So, any questions for Jeremiah tonight? Here we go. Rhonda Williams. Rhonda Williams wants to know, what do you
Yes.
think dogmen are?
Oh, I've been doing this a long time now, and I am, as you said earlier, I'm a Sasquatch specialist. Been in the dogman gig for a few years now, and
Mhm.
I am not afraid to admit I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea what they are. I really don't. I really don't. I don't really even
Yeah.
have theories on what dogmen are. Um,
And
I
it's the same kind of thing with Sasquatch, right? It's kind of like, unless we
yes,
have a body or until we have a body, who knows?
exactly.
Unless you're Jessica
Exactly.
Jones and you can remote view them. That's a different thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
But that does, excuse me, it does bring up a good point though about when Jessica has remote view these beings. I'm just going to call them beings, entity, whatever.
Yes.
One of the, she's kind of seen different types, right? Hey there,
Yes.
DA.
Hey, dear.
When she's remote viewed them, she's seen some that were, how do I say this? Man-made, and maybe some that were, so man-made versus all natural
All
or
natural.
organic. Let's put it that way.
Organic. Yeah,
man-made.
there you go. Yeah.
There we go.
She actually remote viewed a situation for me, a story that I heard on Halloween special. I don't know if you watch that or not.
I know I watched it, but why am I not remembering it right now?
It was a guy, a hunter that my family knows. I'll call him Mr. Clark, and he would go into the Adirondacks. He would go into the Adirondacks every hunting season for about a week, and he felt as though he was being tracked. He was a Vietnam vet. This was back in the 80s, and he was followed by this creature, and he's sitting by the campfire one night, and he could tell it was very close, and he looked. Yep, the horse and humanoid. Yep, it was built. It had a long snout like a horse. It had a tail, or excuse me, not a tail, hoofs, but they weren't horse hoofs. They were like tri hoofs.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, and it was like you ever seen a blue brindle pit bull looks like? That's the color this thing was, and it had long claws, had human hands.
Gosh, so scary.
It had a long mane,
like a horse,
and the eyeballs were on the side of its head, but the eyeballs were completely human. And when Jess remote viewed this story for me, that's what she came up with.
Thanks, Jessica.
The genetic, a genetic experiment or whatever, because the wife talked this gentleman into calling the DEC. There we go.
Yeah, guys, go check that out. Go check her that link.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she did. She did an amazing. That was an amazing show where she remote viewed that.
Amazing. And the DEC showed up, and they showed up with a flatbed, so they knew they were going to have to be hauling something away. DEC had a flatbed. One guy was dressed in regular clothes. The other two were in DEC uniforms. And Mr. Clark asked them, "What is this thing?" And the response from the scientist, who we think was the scientist, said, "Put it this way, it's something that's not supposed to be out here living right now." Well, it kind of opens up the question, well, where is it supposed to be right now? Where is it supposed to live? Where did it come from?
Right, because if it's not supposed to be like here, it's supposed to. That's implying that it's supposed to be someplace else,
like in a lab or something, and it was sickly. This thing was sickly, and the kids that were around, and the dogs wouldn't go anywhere near it once they got it off the truck. Which dogs usually will sniff around a dead body,
Right. Yeah.
The kids were sticking sticks into this thing, and it was like Jello almost. It would go. The sticks were going right through. Now, rumor has it that he took a Polaroid of it, and he cut off one of the fingernails. Mirrors, yeah, that's the term.
Yeah, chimeras.
He took a fingernail, and I've been wanting. My dad knows this guy, and I've been wanting to go knock on his door. I'm nervous to do it. I don't know how he'll react. And my dad has begged me for years, Jeremiah, just don't do it, because supposedly this guy, he had long blonde hair, long blonde hair, long beard, very good shape for his age. And Dad said over that year between that event, he turned into an old man. it bothered, it scared him to death. It took 6 rounds from a 270 to put this thing down.
The stress, probably, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Carrying that weight.
Yeah.
And you never know. They could have been, they knew who he was. They knew,
Yeah.
I'm sure, where he lived. So I'm sure, you never know. Maybe he was literally living under threat of God knows what, the
Exactly.
stress of that.
And this thing, when they weighed it, they brought it to an old butcher. That's when they had the old the hook on butcher scales where you hook the beef on. And this particular one went up to 1,000 pounds. But when they hooked the creature onto the hook, it rolled around the 1,000-pound mark and went past the 1,500 pound. This thing was massive. Now, at first, when I heard the story, I was thinking Dogman because of the snout and whatnot. But when I heard the other details of this creature, I'm like, no, that was no Dogman. I gotta look into this and find out what this thing was. And Jess just did a phenomenal job. She did a phenomenal job reading this thing.
Yeah, that was. I mean, because it's interesting because you think about, because listen, my kids loved Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, loved. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that movie. Don't even want to know. I have no idea. It was it was morning, noon, and night with these kids. Every minute of the day, Jurassic Park, Jurassic Park. So when I heard that story, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I heard that story, for me, I kept thinking to myself because you were talking about how like the skin, and I think Jess described it or something like this, like the kids like poked it with a stick and the stick went straight through the skin, but it
Straight
really
through the
wasn't
skin.
dead that long. It's not like it was.
Yeah, the hide wasn't still tough. It was like that. It hadn't been dead that long.
Yeah.
So sticks wouldn't have gone through.
Yeah.
Composing.
So what I was thinking when I heard that, what kind of came to my mind was, remember that whole thing about in Jurassic Park? I'm talking about the first movie, not like the other 80,000 versions. But the first movie, when they talk about that, when they created them, they left out a specific, it was called lysine. They left lysine out of out of their biology when they created them.
Yeah.
And that if they didn't feed them the lysine in their food, that they would all end up just dying.
Yes. Which makes you wonder. Yeah.
You never know. I mean, maybe
know.
they do that to some of these chimeras.
Absolutely.
Or whatever it is these 3-letter agencies create.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
Those guys over there.
Yep.
The alphabet soup guys.
The alphabet soup. Yep. Yep. And that, and after she brought this whole thing, after what she read into it, it all clicked. It all made sense.
Yeah.
Genetic experimentation. That's what I truly think this thing was a product of.
Probably.
Especially after she mentioned it. And I had thought about that before, but I just wasn't sure. But after, I trust Jess and
oh yeah,
big time. So that did it for me.
Yeah, I've hung out with Jessica Jones.
Yeah, that's she told me. Yeah, you guys
and
research
together. You don't find in life very many people who are just genuine and just who they are.
Yes.
And Jessica Jones is that way.
She is.
Very much. What you see is what you get.
What you see is what you get. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of people think, like because she's so positive, right? She's always so positive.
Always, yeah.
Well, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, that's not some fake thing she does. She's just that way. She has a high vibration. She's extremely positive. She's like, that's just her. That's just her. It's just
super intelligent.
It's infectious.
Yes.
It's infectious.
It is.
When you're with her. Yeah.
Yep.
So much fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
much fun.
You're a great person. Yeah.
Yeah. I love her shows.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you guys definitely go check out The Cryptid. Love you too, Jess. The Cryptid Huntress. She's also on Patreon. I am a part of her Patreon. I'm also part of DA Roberts' Patreon.
Mhm.
Check out DA over there at Patreon and the DA Roberts or DA Ex Machina. Sorry.
Yeah.
Channel. They have an amazing show over there. Jessica, get in the car, loser. Get in the car.
Get in the car. Yeah, we all gotta make a plan to meet in the middle sometime and all go out together. That'd be phenomenal.
Yeah, no, seriously. That would be so much fun.
Yeah.
That would be a
Yeah.
blast. Like, do you guys ever come south to research, or you guys?
Oh yeah,
kinda
yeah,
just-
yeah. North Carolina has been
Yeah.
I've researched in North Carolina several times. My wife's family lives there, so we get down there quite a bit. And they like I said, they live in the same town that I was telling you about. Nick, me and Nick
Yeah.
we didn't know each other real well then, and I didn't know he was there, and he didn't know I was there.
Well,
Would've been
maybe
nice.
Jessica, maybe you and I could go and meet Nick and Jeremiah in the Carolinas. Go hunt some
That'd be
dogmen.
that a lot of Sasquatch in that little area as well. So that'd be great.
Yeah, because I'm going to be straight.
That would
I
be
have
great.
looked, and I did find a very sorry excuse for a Dogman documentary. I'm not even going to say
Okay.
where I even found it because, quite frankly, it isn't worth it. It's not worth the money. It's not worth your time.
I've seen the
Anyways,
same one.
I would love for someone to do that. I'm
Yeah.
hoping someone that actually does and takes it super seriously and
Yes.
puts work into it. I would love to
Yeah.
see that. I would love that.
Yeah.
I hope somebody's listening out there. Maybe some of those alphabet soup
Yeah.
guys with big budgets.
Yeah.
Maybe if they're listening right now, they can do
But
one.
probably are.
They probably are. They know it all already. Jeremiah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for
No,
being
it's
here
my pleasure,
tonight.
Marty. My pleasure.
It was
I have
so
a blast
fun.
with you.
Yeah, I did. I
Yes,
always have a blast with
absolutely.
you. And you always keep in
Yeah.
touch with me. Thank you. You're always checking in on me. And I appreciate
Of
that.
course. I
It's
consider
like,
you a good friend, and
thank you. Same
You're
here. Same here. I just,
I
I wish,
appreciate that.
you guys be safe up there. I'm going to put you backstage while I say
Oh,
goodnight to.
Nick and I would love to have you come on with us some night too.
Sure. Let me know. Let me
Now,
know. Let me know
will
when.
do.
Yeah.
Will do.
I'm gonna put you backstage, say
All
goodnight
right.
to my peeps over here, and then you and I get to hang out a little bit.
Sounds good.
My favorite part of the show, but don't tell anybody.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm sorry I cut him off, guys. I'm so sorry. I clicked the button. Guys, thank you guys so much for being here tonight. You guys were amazing. Again, I don't know. Every single week, it's like that show is tops the one before. I don't know. It's amazing. And 2023 is going to only get bigger and better this year. And we should have some announcements coming up soon from me, from Matt, and some other stuff going on. So thank you guys so much for being here. I love you guys. And next week, make sure you're here next week. I'm sorry. This is why. See, I'm so weird. This is why you guys are always here every week, right? This is always why you guys are here. Because I'm just weird and I forget things, right? I'm getting old. Uh, my birthday is coming soon. Maybe I need a trip to the doctor. Maybe that would be something I need to put on my list of things to do. But I am going to be having Tanya Braddock next week. I'm sorry. I have several shows, guys. That's why I kind of got them a little confused for a second there. I have a bunch of shows in the can right now that I'm like, just, I've got so many. So I've got Tanya Braddock coming in next week, the existential empath. And we're going to talk about a lot of really awesome things. So make sure you guys are back next week for that show. All right. And have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you guys. Thank you for embracing my weirdness with me. I love you guys. I'll see you guys next week.